I feel like every single year people go through this like slight moment. It could be for a weekend, it could be for a week, it could be for a couple months, that you go through this identity crisis, right? Life happens to you and you're like, dang, what do I do now? I think a lot of people need to ask themselves, like, who am I really? What do I really desire out of life? What do I really want to obtain, or who do I really want to be in life? You know, there's so many options and there's so many things that you can do that it can make it difficult for you to figure out who you want to be. And the thing is that I think that like people give themselves titles, but they also allow other people to give them titles. And what I mean by that is that, you know, your title might be like, oh, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you're a really good, a really funny person, you're the person I can go to and talk to about anything, or maybe he's really mean, you're the person that I feel like I can't even stand to be around, you're really rude. Like people, those are titles that people give you, you know what I'm saying? Like those are things that people put on you as labels. And the thing is that as you're going through life and as you're trying to figure out what your life really looks like, you're creating these labels for yourself, as well as giving that label to other people because they're seeing the person that you are. What does that really look like, you know, down the road? What does that really look like as you're trying to develop and become who you want to become? And that's the question that a lot of people end up asking themselves on a consistent basis, just trying to find out their self-identity, trying to figure out who they want to be and what they are to other people. And the thing is that, like, especially depending on the type of group that you're in, you have to tell yourself, this is not the person that I am. This is the person that I am, right? Like, this is not what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm not gonna choose to smoke. I'm not gonna choose to drink. I'm not gonna choose to indulge in these type of activities or this type of environment. Or maybe I am going to go to the gym consistently. Maybe I am going to continue to study and go to college. Maybe I am going to continue to be a really good family member to my family and be who they need me to be. Everything is really a choice, but it comes down to what you really see for yourself and where you want to put yourself at. You know what I'm saying? What labels do you want to give yourself to say, look, this is not who I am, and this is not what I'm going to do, or this is who I am, and this is what I'm going to accomplish. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. Every single day we're making the choice to be like, okay, what are we going to do today? Are we going to actually be a person of our own word and fulfill those things? Or are we going to be like, dang, I missed it. I should have already done this and this and this today, but I didn't get around to it. You know what I'm saying? You're putting that own label of not even being able to trust yourself in what you said that you're going to do. And so, like, as we're trying to figure out what does our life look like in other people and what does our life look like to ourselves, we have to first identify, you know, who do we really want to be? How do we really want to perceive off to people? How do we really want to put ourselves in a position to say, look, this is exactly what I said I was going to do, and this is the type of person that I am. I know when I was younger and I was in high school, I was like, look, I really want to become a counselor. I really want to go out and I want to help people, and I want to put people in a position to be able to change their mentality, be able to change the way that they think about relationships, to change the way that they think about themselves. But, you know, that was my identity that I was holding on to. And later on down the road, I was like, maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I don't mind helping out people, which is why I make my content now. But I was like, maybe I want to get into something else, a different niche. I want to be able to provide and do a different type of service down the road, right? Things are going to change all the time, especially if you're younger and you're going to try to figure out what you want your direction of life to look like as you grow up. But the thing is that the more that you start growing up, the more that you have confirmation of what God has actually put you here for and what he's trying to direct you with, that is actually going to give you confirmation of what you should be doing in general, right? And that's the thing, man. I think a lot of people, they want to, you know, figure out what they want to do instead of figuring out why God has put them here, what their purpose is. You know what I'm saying? And it makes it difficult because then people find out that their entire life they've been trying to figure out the identity through themselves or through the people that they're with instead of figuring that out through, you know, through God. And that's the thing, it's like, as you try to really figure out what life looks like and what you can do to become better, you have to realize that God has to be the center of your circle and the center of your life. I'm not saying you have to like pray every single day, you have to read the Bible every single day, you have to go to church every Sunday. I'm just saying to have that faith structure and that foundation to be like, look, I know that life is going to happen and I got to make sure that I still have that person that I can rely on and that faith factor, right? Because that really matters whenever it comes down to it. Who else is really going to be there for you? You know what I'm saying? People pass away. People aren't going to always be your friend. People aren't always going to be there. But at the end of the day, God is going to be the one that's going to be able to be there in your corner. And you can always talk to him about anything. And I think that some people kind of take that for granted, you know, because they're like, well, I mean, I'm looking for an instant answer. I'm looking for instant gratification. I'm looking for someone that can actually give me some type of sense of direction. Like, just like this, right? If I talk to my mom and my dad, they're gonna tell me I shouldn't do this or I should do this. Or if I talk to my best friend, they're gonna help me get to this certain place that I wanna get to, you know what I'm saying? And that's cool. That's cool to have the right people around you, but it's different when you have someone that's literally in control of everything to be able to know what your desires are and be able to actually guide you and give you direction. And the cool thing is that with God is that he will literally put other people in your life to actually give you direction, right? Like I know for myself, I found myself where I felt lonely, or I felt myself where I didn't feel as motivated. And I have a friend come to me and he'll tell me like, you know, what do you really want to do with life, right? And we'll sit down, we'll have a whole talk about it. Like, look, I don't know what I want to do. You know, we're young, we're trying to figure out this business stuff, we're trying to figure out what life looks like, we're trying to figure out what we want to do in life, but like we'll sit there and we'll have that conversation, you know? And it's not like, I don't think those things is granted, because like, I think that God has literally put them in position to be able to have that conversation, to be able to ask me those things, because maybe I need someone to talk to and God will put that person in my life, right? Maybe I need that financial thing to come in and all of a sudden it's like, bow, you know, you get a couple, whatever. Or maybe you're struggling financially and God's like, here's an opportunity for you to go make money or for you to learn about finances. Maybe here's this person that can actually get you to the next level. It may take a little bit more struggle than you need it to be, but at the end of the day, it's going to put you in a position where you really wanted to be at, you know? And I think that God uses us to test us. You know, some people say, well, if God loves us, why would he test us? But the thing is that like, even in the story of Job, you know, God literally allowed him to lose everything, you know? And then he was still like, that's my strongest warrior. He's still going to have faith and he's still going to realize where his foundation lies at. And so at the end of the day, you just got to figure out, is God really trying to give you a test? Or are you going to pass that test? Or are you going to be able to sit there and let the devil just laugh at you because you failed? So we got to keep our faith strong, because life is going to give us a bunch of gut punches and a bunch of, like, you know, life is lifing moments, right? And we got to figure out, how are we going to overcome this challenge and also remain foundational with God and who we want to be. I feel like every single year people go through this like slight moment. It could be for a weekend, it could be for a week, it could be for a couple months, that you go through this identity crisis, right? Life happens to you and you're like, dang, what do I do now? How do I operate from this, right? And the thing is that, like I said, you just got to know, is God testing me and trying to see how faithful I'll be? Or am I going to sit here and just blame life and blame the people around me and blame myself and talk negative about myself? Like, how am I going to handle this situation? And it's like, who am I? What am I here for? What do I really want to accomplish with life? Like, what do I really strive to be, you know? And most of the time, you know, you're like, man, when I was in high school, I was like this, or when I was in college, I was like this, but I still have no sense of direction. So now you're in a season where you're just sitting there and you're like, what does life really look like? And you're having a certain identity crisis to even understand yourself. So, you know, I always advise people, find God, because God is literally waiting at the door for you to find him. And like I said, when it comes to these labels and it comes to, you know, you saying, look, this is who I am and this is who I'm not, that comes from that as well. You know, this is who God has called me to be. This is not who God has called me to be. And you got to learn how to literally operate and to move from there. And I think that right there gives you more foundation of a understanding to who you are and who you want to be. So these labels that you have for yourself, if they're negative, you know, if you don't feel like you can trust yourself, if you can't even keep your own word, if you feel like the things that you're working for aren't even going to, you know, give you the return, the reward that you want, then figure out what you want to do in life and figure out the people that you need to be around for you to get to where you need to be too. You know what I'm saying? You're around people that aren't going to help you elevate. They're keeping you the same. You know, and you need to be around people that are going to help you elevate, but not only just elevate, but to also help you elevate with relationship with God, but also relationship with yourself and being able to actually get to where you need to get to down the road with who God has created you to be. Not everybody can do that. You know what I'm saying? Some people were called to be in real estate, let's say, right? Or some people were called to just do stocks, or some people were called to do 9 to 5. Some people were called to be in healthcare. Some people were called just to, you know, learn how to make some good food. Like everyone has a different purpose for being here. And the thing is that God has literally designed that from the day that you were born. And so you got to figure out what is that place or that niche that you're going to be able to fit into and be able to grow and expand to maximize who God has called you to be. And then really just move from there. So that's really all I got for you on this video. I'm just gonna wrap it up. I just want you guys to understand that as you're trying to go through life and you're having these self-identification, you're having these it's the same thing, but you're having these moments where you're trying to figure out who you are. you have to realize, who do I need to be, but also who does God need me to be, and who has he called me to be. So that's gonna wrap it up, y'all. Follow me on my socials. It'll be King Malone. You guys can also like this video, subscribe to this channel if you guys like the content. But that's gonna wrap it up, y'all. I will catch y'all in the next video. I'm gone.